Hello friends, welcome to Drishti YouTube and also welcome to our session on the Economy Simplified. In this session, we shall be looking at the concept of currency depreciation and appreciation. We shall see what is meant by when a currency depreciates or appreciates and what are the various impacts of these things. Let's begin. Friends, you see, we have exchange rate, right? Suppose $1 comes for rupees 94 at present. This is the say exchange rate of one currency with respect to another, that is dollars as compared to rupees, right? Now, this means that suppose I am an exporter, right? I export my product to America or to any other country. So suppose the deal was made for $1, right? I'll get rupees 94 from my bank when the importer sends $1 to me through the banking network. So because we have a deal of $1 of the trade, the importer who had bought my product will send me $1. I'll get rupees 94 as my price on the product, right? And similarly, suppose I import something from abroad. So we exporter and the importer have a deal that I will import, I'll pay you $1. So I will pay rupees 94 to my bank, they will pay $1 to the exporter. So this is the meaning of the exchange rate, which helps the two parties transact, right? Now what happens is, suppose dollars are in high demand, right? Dollars are in high demand because the other economies are shrinking, the other economies are volatile. The dollars are going back to their home country, USA, because USA is a comparatively stable economy. So the dollars are going back to home country, and in the market, dollars are not available. Suppose I'm an exporter, right? Or say any person who is seeking a dollar, right? When a commodity is in less supply, right, the prices increase. This is a price of a dollar. Suppose assume dollar as a commodity. So $1 will come for rupees 94, right? And suppose the commodity is getting costlier, it means that now the thing will come for say 95, 96. So when the dollars become costlier, right? The dollars become costlier, $1 will say come for rupees 96 or 97, right? Now what is happening is that in the process, I am having only the same dollar, but I am paying 2 rupees extra for the same dollar. It means rupee is losing value because 2 rupees will mean no value, because despite paying 2 rupees extra, I am getting only same $1. So when this phenomena takes place, I would say that the rupee has depreciated because the rupee has lost its value. You see, 2 rupees have lost value because the same dollar is coming for 96 from 94. So 2 rupees lost its value. So rupee has depreciated, right? So when the dollars are in high demand, dollars say go back to the country, we have a political instability, we see that the rupee depreciates, right? Now, what is the rupee appreciation? Suppose somehow a commodity is in very large supply. When a good is in large supply, its prices usually fall because the supply is more, demand is less. So the seller is willing to sell at a price lower than the previous prices. So suppose in the other case, the dollars are in huge supply. The US companies are pumping dollars in the Indian markets. So when they are pumping money in the Indian markets, what is happening? Dollars are in large supply. The dollar will lose its value. So what would happen is, suppose we have a commodity which is in very large supply, they will come cheaper. So in that case, $1, right? $1 say may come at rupees 92, because the prices of dollars have come down because of the large supply. So when the same dollar comes for a lesser rupee, we say rupee has got strengthened. It's called the rupee appreciation, right? And this is the rupee depreciation. This is rupee depreciation. The point here is, when the rupee loses its value, its rupee depreciation, and the rupee has a larger value than the previous times, it's a rupee appreciation. Now, what are the impacts of these things? Say we are an exporter, right? So suppose I was exporting a commodity for $1, I got rupees 94, right? Now I get rupee 96. So I have a better chance, I am benefiting. So exporters get benefited on the rupee depreciation, right? Exporters benefit on the rupee depreciation. We say exports are becoming more competitive, more profitable when the rupee depreciates, right? But suppose the rupee appreciates, then what happens? I am an exporter. I was exporting a commodity. I used to get rupees 94 earlier. Now I get rupees 92. So with the rupee depreciation, the exporters are not at benefit. So rupee depreciation, right, benefits the exporters, right? The rupee depreciation is favored by exporters because they get more money for the same amount of commodity they have exported. But on the other hand, you see, suppose I'm an importer, I import a commodity, I pay rupee 94 earlier, now you have to pay 96. So rupee depreciation is not beneficial to the importers. For the importers, this is problematic, this is costly. I import the same commodity, I pay more amount for the same commodity for the same dollar. So importers are at loss by depreciation, exporters are at benefit by depreciation. So the other thing is rupee appreciation, right, will demotivate exporters. For exporters, this is demotivating. For the importers, this is beneficial because they will have to pay less amount for the same quantity of input. That's a kind of the concept, the rupee depreciation and appreciation. Now let's start with some of the questions on this thing. Let's have a question on this. Which of the following statements best describe the phenomena of currency depreciation in a floating exchange rate? Friends, floating means the exchange rate is based upon the market phenomena. There is no largely government interference in the exchange rate. So what will describe currency depreciation, right? See, depreciation, we just saw that the currency loses its value. 94 rupees is now 96 for the same dollar. So the currency depreciation means a decrease in the value of a currency relative to the other currency based upon the market forces. So this is a characteristic. You see, a deliberate adjustment of the currency is called a devaluation, right? When a currency by some manipulation is degraded, depreciated, it's called devaluation of a currency. But when the currency falls on its own, whether on the basis of market force, it's called depreciation. So this is not correct. This is the definition of devaluation, right? It's not increase, it's not the gold. So answer becomes B here. The second question is, consider the following statements regarding the impact of the appreciation of the Indian rupee, right? See, what are the impact of the rupee appreciation? We saw the rupee appreciation benefits the importers and it demotivates the exporters because they get less amount of money for every dollars they have sold. So let's see, it makes Indian exports more price competitive, and this is incorrect because rupee appreciation makes exports less competitive because rupee depreciation used to get exporters more money per every dollar, right? So one is incorrect. Second, it can help reduce the burden of India's external commercial borrowing. Friends, suppose that we have borrowed $1 and we have to pay 94 rupees to return the money back, right? This is the case today. I borrowed $1 and I had to pay rupees 94 next year to compensate the borrowings. Now, suppose that the rupee has appreciated, right? Rupee is my to it means that I will have to pay less rupee for the same dollar. So my borrowing cost has reduced because now I pay the same dollar back, but I pay only rupees 92. So appreciation has led it to a lesser burden on me, and that's why this is correct because this reduces the burden of the India's external commercial borrowings, right? Now, what happens is, Similarly, I import a crude oil tanker, I have to pay less amount of rupee for the same dollar. So it helps the importers, or it lowers the cost of importing crude oil for the domestic refiners. So the rupee appreciation helps the import but demotivates the export, right? It helps the payment of the external debt. So in this case, B, 2 and 3 are the correct answers, right? The third question, let's have a look here. If the Federal Reserve of the USA aggressively raises the benchmark interest rates, what is the most likely immediate consequence for the Indian economy? Friends, you see, the statement says that suppose RBI as USA's central bank, the Federal Reserve, increases the benchmark interest rates. This means what? This means that the rate at which the federal bank lends to its banks, right, is the benchmark interest rates in India. We call this repo rate, right? So if RBI, USA bank will increase the repo rate, so USA banks and the companies will not have lot of dollars because the loans are coming costlier. So when the US Federal Bank is not giving too much of money to the US banks and the companies, the flow of dollars from US to India will also reduce, because when the US Federal Bank will cut down or increase the interest rates, it will cut down the supply of dollars to the US companies, and from the US companies, they will not come to the Indian economy. As a result, the dollar supply will be reduced when the USA Federal Bank increases the interest rate. So what happens? So if USA has increased the benchmark interest rates, we will not have more investment in the country. So it will not lead to increase in the investment in the stock market, right? If dollars are not coming to India, they are in short supply. Anything that is in short supply will increase its prices. That's why dollars will become costlier. If dollars become costly, rupee will depreciate. As a result, in this case, rupee will depreciate because dollars are in short supply. Why? Because dollars are not being supplied by the US Federal Bank to the US companies, right? So this is the, it will not lead to the appreciation, rather it will lead to the depreciation of the Indian rupee in this case. Suppose we see one more question, that to counter the sharp depreciation of the Indian rupee, the Reserve Bank of India is most likely to take which of the following measures? So the question is, what would the RBI do to check the rupee depreciation? So RBI should increase what? See, depreciation has taken place because the dollars are in short supply. Increase the dollars, as a result, the short supply problem will be addressed. So RBI will do what? They will increase dollars in the market to check the sharp depreciation of the Indian rupee. So in this case, what happens is RBI should do what, right? It should sell dollars from its forex to the market, so that the rupee depreciation is checked, because when RBI sells dollars in the market, the large supply in the dollar market of dollars will lead to uh, easy burden on the importers. As a result, rupee will not depreciate much like it was doing earlier, right? So friends, when it happens that whenever the rupee depreciates, RBI sells dollars in the market to check the rupee depreciation by increasing the supply of the dollars. For friends, this is all about the rupee depreciation, appreciation. I hope we are clear on this part. We shall meet again in the next video having a new topic with the same pattern. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.